Very good speech. I think my honourable friend, the member for Gower, I thought her speech was excellent. It was incredibly touching and very, very sensitive and a perfect opening to this very difficult subject. 74%, Mr McCabe, 74% of members of the public want their Member of Parliament to vote for a law on assisted dying. And I did that in 2015, and I'd do it again given the chance to this. 74%. A remarkable quirk of fate in that vote in 2015, 74% of members of Parliament voted against bringing in a law of assisted dying, which I think is entirely unsustainable. This is not holding back the tide. This is holding back a tidal wave of support for this. And we've heard so many times in recent years, we must trust the public. And I absolutely agree with that. And I trust I think the 350 members of my constituents in Thirsk and Malton who wanted this debate. I don't agree with my own friend, the member for Gainsborough, and I agree with him on many topics, very great common sense normally, but this is not about economics. Normally. This is not about economics. This is about the people, what the people want. And I've got to say, the very well-behaved members of the gallery today who attended, I guess the percentage of people who want assisted dying is much, much higher, because this is such a sensitive subject. I will look. No, the chair says no. I do apologise. We'll talk about it afterwards. I would have done it. But it is about what has been said on a number of occasions this afternoon. This is about choice. And of course, we believe, don't we, all of us in this country, we are so lucky to have this free society we live in. This is freedom of choice. But this isn't freedom of choice over anything. This is the freedom of choice about the thing we fear most in life, death. And it's not actually, I would say today that I don't actually fear death. I might think differently in a few years' time, Mr McCabe, when I get that point in time, we're getting closer. But I tell you what I do fear. I fear a painful death. I absolutely fear a painful death. And I may have options. And some of us, are lucky enough that we could plan ahead, and we could say, well, we'll make that trip to Zurich, or we might take that terrible path that my old friend, the member for Sheffield Central's father had to take. And you have a choice, of course, to do what you think is right, which is not have that option and just and go and take the natural path. But I think it is wrong to remove from people the choice that other countries have, other places have, and that we can choose as well, the ones who are lucky enough to have that choice. There's one thing as well, I think, we've probably not discussed in this debate. It's not just about the fear of dying. It's just the fear of what might happen. There's this quote from Dr. Sandy Bryden, who died of a rare form of cancer in the UK. He said, "Knowing I had the option of an assisted death when things get too much would allow me to live now without the constant fear of what might happen at the end. For me, assisted dying isn't about dying, it's about living. Living that last time we have, knowing we have the choice, away from that anxiety. That must be a terrible anxiety for people nearing this in these situations. And certainly something I would have wished for my mother when she passed away at the end of 2019. The palliative care was there, but still it was, for all those around her, a traumatic experience. I don't get the slippery slope argument. We've seen Oregon, which hasn't changed its law in 25 years. It's a very low percentage of people take this path, 0.7% of deaths through assisted dying. But I do understand there are really cogent arguments why we wouldn't have this, which is why I support an inquiry. I just don't see what the argument against an inquiry is. We can look at best practice around the world and decide what's best practice for the United Kingdom.